Hey y'all, welcome to the Dirty Air, Unfiltered Dirty Air podcast. This is Fame, your host.
This is Ryan, your co-host.
And this is Toby coming in clutch in the third row here.
Hey, so for this podcast, it's gonna be a little bit different what we did on Sunday. Sunday was kind of, oh man, we hit you guys kind of with a hurricane on that one. Came right at you hot. But Toby down here has decided he wanted to make a list of things that he wanted to talk about tonight. All raw. Me and Ryan have absolutely no idea what he's about to say to us. And then everybody that's watching the live stream, if you have any, you want to ask us any question, you want to shit on us, I don't care in any way. Just type it in there. Ryan can read it back to us. But basically, Toby, you want to kick us off, man? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I got a pretty good little list here. The first thing I want to top off, or kind of start off with, is obviously I wasn't involved in the aftermath of Darlington, as people would say, of handing out receipts. I know, I watched the podcast back. I kind of gave Ryan a little bit of hell, like he led 5 laps, and like, hey, I finished fourth, buddy. I mean, come on back one time. I just want to reiterate, like, I mean, with Ryan leading 5 laps, I mean that's obviously huge for him. Anybody to lead laps in A squared during any point in the race is absolutely huge. Um, talking in regards to the amount of competition we have in that series, and I mean I would go out on a limb and say, everybody in A squared is top of the notch. I mean, from top to bottom. Like, you could put us at Kansas and Fame, you could win it. I could win it. Ryan is really good at restrictor plate tracks. He could win it. I mean, like, it's anybody's race. You legitimately cannot count anybody out, because as soon as that pit strategy works out, and then a caution flies, and you're completely screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Ryan, from a recap of your race, I would, you obviously led 5 laps. You got the bonus points. I mean, how did you feel at the end of that race, as far as, your perspective?
I mean, I still felt like shit. I mean, just because I led 5 laps. I mean, yeah, it was cool. I mean, obviously, I was hoping for a caution. I knew that I was, pretty much screwed if a caution didn't come out. But yeah, I mean, it was a rough race. Everybody just kind of running a little harder than they probably should have been. But yeah, I mean, I stayed out just because I knew. I mean, I'm probably one of the, I wouldn't say the best, but one of the better when it comes to saving fuel, and still staying, somewhat competitive. So I just stayed out, led those laps, was hoping that maybe some people coming down pit road, because Darlington's tough, would maybe make a mistake and throw a caution. Would have put me in a really good spot. Had some people trapped a lap down, but didn't work out that way. But sometimes you just got to take those risks and just see what happens.
And obviously, a very hard track to pass at. It obviously, if you don't have the pace, you cannot pass in 1 and 2. And then if you do get a good run off of 2, really 3 and 4 is the only place you could make, a legitimate move to pass somebody. I mean, Theme, I mean, through that entire race, I think we've all had somebody push it a little too hard, not only in 1 and 2, but, definitely in 3 and 4, where you could, I mean, if you're going to pass somebody, 3 and 4 is the place to do it. I mean, what was your experience during that race? I mean, how did you feel? If you could talk us through it, like, how hard did people race you in 1 and 2 versus in 3 and 4? Whether it be the long run, the middle run, or the short
Right.
run.
1 and 2, you never really. In 1 and 2, you see a lot of people that would get under you in 1 and 2, but you can't sustain that in 1 and 2. You'll lose it. You kind of got the car has to come up and then come back down. You got the apex and diamond to the corner. So 1 and 2, someone would send it in there and be like, ah, shit, I'm not gonna be able to, you know, complete this pass without getting into them. So you see more people give room in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, that's a heavy braking zone. I mean, breaking into 3, everybody has a different breaking point there. So that's where everyone was more aggressive at, was in 3 and 4. That's where it seemed like everyone was getting into me, and I get it. With looking back at it, I watched the broadcast and stuff like that. Everyone got into somebody. It's just frustrating when you get hit as hard as what I did a couple times. It's kind of like, come on. Like, I understand a little bump, but yeah, I mean, it was rough. It was a rough race. It was a rough race altogether for me. Yeah, it is what it is now, though.
And from my perspective, I didn't qualify well. I'm kind of in y'all's position. I even if I'm faster than somebody, I'll probably give them more room than what they deserve. Just if you're quicker on the short run, then that's fine. Just when I catch you on the long run, you expect drivers to repay that favor.
All right.
And I should have ran more aggressive, but I will say that first stage, given where I qualified and then running the heat race, I didn't do too well. I think it was Ryan. I ran into turn 1 and I knew my car was better than his. And instead of running him tight going into 1, I just took the apron and kind of washed up. And I think that's the better way to pass somebody if you're going into 1 is, dive low, wash up, get that apex, and then come back down low. And I feel a lot of drivers didn't do that. They were, more or less saying, screw that. If they're pinching me on the bottom and this driver's on the outside of me, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I get that run off. And, I think personally, from a driver's standpoint, you can't make a move in 1 and 2. You can most definitely set it up in 1 and 2 to make the pass in 3 and 4.
Yep.
But I think a lot of drivers, Ryan, kind of pushed it way too hard in 1 and 2. And I mean, I personally, I think that's where a lot of the issues, come about was 1 and 2. Just a lot of drivers pushing it way too hard, not expecting what it was going to do on the exit, coming off 2.
Yeah, I agree. But again, it's when we recorded, last night or yeah,
Sunday
last
night.
night, Sunday night,
Sunday night,
whatever,
yeah. Whenever the fuck it was.
whenever it was. Obviously, I was still hot. I voiced my displeasure in race control, in the drivers' meeting, and in the podcast about people just not following rules before the race even starts, and that starts me off already in a pissy mood. No, again, very few people realize or are aware of how much effort and time goes into running a league. Some leagues are even a little bit more. I won't say easier, but just a little more simple with points. Because you have that figured in. But iRacing doesn't have stages. iRacing doesn't have choose cones. So for A squared, those stages, same with ignition. I mean, Smeal has to deal with the same thing I do, every Sunday night. When that race is over, it's not like I can just wash my hands and go, all right, cool, see y'all Sunday. No, I have to go in there and I have to go through the broadcast that Carmen does. I have to, you know, figure out, okay, who finished first through 10th in the first stage, who finished first through 10th in the second stage, where did these drivers finish in the heats, and I have to do all of that on, on a spreadsheet and do those points. So, some people will say, well, you're just being a fucking asshole and you're fucking yelling at us. Well, for 10 minutes, step in my shoes because someone didn't follow the rules and they checked in and didn't show up, or they didn't check in and they did show up. You have completely screwed up my entire night of racing format by not taking 5 minutes. And again, I'm not going to, I talked about it a bunch Sunday night when we recorded, so I'm not going to get out of hand, but that is, a lot of people, again, have never had to host a league. They've never had to run a league. Some people have, and those people understand, where I come from. But it is not easy, and those little things like that are just so frustrating. So I started the night off already pissed off, and then everybody knows when you're in a bad mood, the little things make it even worse, and that's exactly what happened on Sunday night. I am me and Tom Sears are the two owners of ARCs, and we're kind of held at a different standard or a different level than everyone else. So sometimes I feel like I'm not allowed to be upset, and if I am, I'm an asshole and all this. But trust me, there is a reasoning behind me being upset. There's a reasoning behind me being an asshole, and it's because I put probably more time into this league than anyone. We have 230 something members, and I promise you, I'm putting more work in than most everyone that's out there. And I do it because I love the racing. I love everyone that does race. But it can be frustrating sometimes, and then those little things they start to build. They start to and then when I get run like an asshole into turn one or into turn three, it just multiplies, times 100. So, any drivers out there that were pissed off about the Darlington race, just think that you set this thing up and it was completely fucked up because some people didn't follow rules. You would be very upset too. So, at the end of the day, I don't want people to look at me, like I'm an asshole, because I can be for sure. But there's reasonings behind me being an asshole. So it's just, and again, I don't even know if I answered the question, but that's
Hey, that's good. And this is a question I was honestly going to save for later. And I think Ryan, you and Fame both, and myself. I mean, people are racing for playoff points at this, this stage in the series. So, how do you, Ryan being in your perspective and Fame, you being in your perspective, and myself, taking in all consideration as what's happened through the entire series. And obviously, I was going to save this for later, but I'm just going to kind of throw it in there now. How do you race somebody? Taking myself out of it, I'm asking you two guys, and Feme, you can go first. How do you race somebody that's coming up to you that has raced clean through the series and then raced dirty? Like, and I'm saying, like, when they get to you, they just fucking move you. Versus, they'll give you 2 or 3 laps, 3 or 4, and then if you're still in the way, they're not trying to turn you. They're just giving you a little love bump. Say, hey, I'm here. I've got a long run car, or whatever it may be through the run.
Right.
How throughout the series, I mean, we're getting to the point to where that shit, comes in effect.
Yeah.
You take somebody that is racing aggressive as shit through the first stint in the series, coming into this point in the series. I mean, how do you race them? Are you throwing your back bumper like it's fucking 4 foot wide, or you're just saying, hey, this guy has raced me clean, all year long. I'm gonna let him by, blah blah blah, whatever it may be. I mean, everybody has that driver in mind. If they're coming to my bumper, they're gonna have to fucking move me
Yep.
because I'm not getting out of the way. I mean, at this point in the series, how important is to, that driver of moving to the next stage?
Yeah, that's a delicate question because if you get that aggressive driver that just runs over you, all that kind of stuff, and you're fighting with them, right? The last thing you want to do is fight them and to the point to where you wreck yourself or they wreck you. Now, if it's somebody that has raced me clean all year long, the thing racing clean in my eyes is like when say teammates like me and Ryan race, Toby, me and you when we're on the track, we're
Race
racing
each other with respect. I mean,
Yep. It's hard racing, but we're not using each other up. You know what I mean? We're not moving. We're banging into them. We may slightly door bang, something like that, but it's nothing malicious. That's different. I'll do that all day long. If I know someone's super aggressive and at this stage of it, I'll make it hard to pass. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to be. I want to be unmovable. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not going to fuck my race up because somebody wants to be a dickhead. As simple as that. If someone wants to be disrespectful.
But when it comes to points, I mean, if you're
That's,
holding somebody up, 2 or 3 laps,
yeah.
that's huge.
Yep, that
Like,
is huge. That is huge. Now if it comes down to like major points, I will do that. I will hold you up. I will fight for those points. Like I said, I'm not gonna wreck myself for those points. If it's stage 1, hell no, take it. For what it is. Stage 2 and stage 3, I'll fight for those points, especially at the end of the race.
What about if it's somebody that has raced you? You're in stage 1. You have a pretty consistent car, but they have been overly aggressive all year long. Not only with everybody else, but you may have a little history. I mean, are you going to say, "Hey, you're going to have to bump me out of the fucking way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it to you."
Yeah, I'm gonna say good luck. There's a couple. There's 2 or 3 that I'm gonna say good luck. If you want by, you got to move me.
And,
Don't wreck me, because at this staging point, you wreck me. I may get. Ryan may have to pull a suspension at this point this season if I get wrecked or something stupid like that.
I'm the same way with Ryan. Ryan has, if I come to him, what I will personally give him, 2 or 3 laps. I'm not the person to bump somebody out of the way. That's just how I am. And people can hold that against me and maybe I would have had a championship last year, blah blah blah. That's just not how I race.
Right.
I don't think it's good for the league and it's not good for the community. And Ryan's the same way. If you catch Ryan, he's gonna let you go. But Ryan has specifically got screwed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a handful of times, not only 2 handful of times, but probably 3 or 4. Like, people just take advantage of him. And Ryan, to your comment, during the last podcast, you're going to start racing people different. I mean, and my question is to you: are you going to race the whole field different? Or, are you going to race certain people different? Because if I was you, I've not only given certain people, opportunities to pass me. I gave the entire fucking field opportunities to pass me. So if if I'm you, I mean, my bumper's as wide as the track, buddy. If you're gonna pass me, you're gonna have to fucking bump me out of the way. And if you bump me too fucking hard, then if I get back to you going into the next turn, buddy, it's gonna be that much more. I mean, what's your output on all this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was fired up Sunday night, which, again, I mean, anybody in my position would probably be in the uh, same boat as me. But yeah, I'm definitely going to drive different. Obviously, I know, I mean, I can look at my relatives. I can look in my rearview mirror. I can look in front of me. I know who's in front of me. I know who's behind me. Um, Perfect examples, the late model stock car race we had a couple weeks ago. Patrick Overstat was in front of me. We had some knucklehead that come up there and wrecked him um, under caution. Luckily, that person's not around anymore. But I was running second behind him, and he even told me over Discord. He said, "Hey man, do what you got to do," and I was faster than him for sure, running second. But I didn't do it. I mean, I don't know. I can't get through my head how somebody could run somebody over or knock them out of the way and finish the race and feel good about themselves. I mean, I would in that race I finished second behind Patrick Overstat, and I was happy with that second place finish. If I would have dumped his ass, I I'm sorry, but it's not worth it to me. Like I just don't get it. I mean, and some people they don't care, and that goes back to my comments on Sunday night where I said, there's no repercussions for what people do on the track.
Yep.
Nobody's going to come to your house and fucking whoop your ass because you're, 18, 19, 7, 6 hours away. Nobody's going to come whoop your ass. Yeah, you might get an earful from me, but I mean, what's that going to do, I mean, it ain't going to do shit. So
And
that,
it's not like in that situation, it's not like we can go and wreck him the next week because that's just gonna fuck us.
yeah, I
You know what I
mean,
mean? That's
so
just gonna.
I
Yeah,
mean,
there's you can't pay anybody back because there's obviously repercussions. I
yep,
mean, you can't
yeah,
obviously pay somebody back. Like we
nah,
don't get that opportunity, like Ryan said last week, after the Darlington race. You don't get to climb out of your car and go confront that guy. We do have the holler, but I mean, it's a 50-50 chance. Like
yeah,
you at that guy, and either they show up or they don't.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's
And even if they do, I mean, again, it's just you're just yelling at them over a computer. I mean, what? No
Yeah,
one,
that's no good.
yeah. I mean, no, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been yelled at my whole life. My dad yelled at me. I mean, when I was a kid. I mean, telling me that I, wasn't doing something right, and that made me a better person. But in today's world, man, I mean, you could yell at somebody and they don't even phase them. But I mean, to your point, Toby. I mean, obviously, when I look at my relative, just like Feem said, I have several people that I know. Absolutely, my rear bumper is going to be 8 lanes wide, and but I also have people, that I see behind me. Cody's in the chat saying when he sees the 12 car in his rearview mirror, he's clenching his cheeks. I don't know why he's saying that. I have never, I have
Oh
never,
shit!
never ran Cody hard, so I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But I mean,
Like
yeah,
I'm the one that spun him.
yeah, I mean, again, like I said, certain people, yeah, absolutely, I'm gonna get in the way. Other people, I know that they're fast. I'm not stupid, I mean, perfect. Like I said, Darlington's a perfect example. I mean, we had 4 or 5 cars that wrecked out in the heat that were behind me. I started ninth. I know damn good and well that they're faster than me. I'm not stupid, So in my head, I'm thinking, well, this person's obviously faster than me. There's no sense in, me getting wrecked and them, running through me. So, yeah, it's case by case. But I mean, again, I'd change how I race. I mean, look, this week I said everything. You know, I said Sunday night I'm gonna race different, and I am overall. But when I see
And
somebody,
I hope you do. I
yeah,
really do.
when I see somebody that I respect, I'm gonna race you, but I'm gonna race you clean, and that's what I
Yep.
do. Now, if I see somebody that I may not respect as much as some others, I may pitch
Woo,
you down
buddy.
a little more, you know. But I'm telling y'all, man, I've already run 4 A Open races at Nashville. I've won 2 of them, and I plan on
Oh shit!
I plan on continuing to run the A Open races the rest of the week. I mean, I feel good about Nashville, so and that changes my outlook. I know Darlington is not a good track for me. I can't figure it out. But Nashville, man, I feel good. I feel quick. I feel like I got a good long run car, and that's going to change my whole perspective about how I come out there. You know, I mean, obviously, the people I'm racing against in the A Open races, they're not near as fast as 75% of the people that'll be running Sunday night. But it gives you that practice. It gives you that racing
It
around
gives
other
you
people.
it
Yeah, it
gives you
gives you
a
cars
good
around you.
Yeah,
yeah, it gives you a good idea. Obviously, you were probably running the setup we're going to be running Sunday. So I mean,
correct.
it kind of gives you a good idea of how not only the tires how they're going to wear, whether it be the right front, whatever it may be, and then obviously it gives you a good idea of how much fuel you can save and all that. And Theme, I'm gonna switch back to you here. Is there any comments of how you're gonna race anybody the rest of the year? I mean, because this is anybody. I mean, it don't matter. This is a very very important part of the season.
Yeah.
Like this is important. You know, if you don't have a win,
This guy.
the way you have raced people in the beginning of the year, here we are in the middle. I mean, if you've raced people like a piece of shit, your odds of winning a race is probably not good because obviously Ryan said, he's going to be holding his own, and I fully expect you to do the same as Ryan because you've got the short end of the stick, a handful of times this year.
Yeah.
So I mean, last comments on A squared here. I mean, how do you feel as far as that series goes?
Yeah, so let's take it back to the beginning of the season when Ryan drafted us, the team that he put together. One of the first things he said to us, I drafted y'all because one, y'all are good dudes, which I respected, and then two, y'all don't cause problems on the track. And that's I respected that. That's what our foundation of our team has been, and
That's huge.
that's how we've raced. The problem is that we've raced like that and we've gotten fucked over racing like that. So now, like I think as a team, we're still going to continue the race with respect, but I'm going to be running probably twice as hard. I'm going to make it hard as hell to pass me. I'm going to put in hours and hours and hours of practice going forward. It's just you can race with respect in this league. You can. But you gotta balance that aggressiveness as well. Because the competition in A squared is just stupid good. It is. And you can't expect to get anywhere in this league by just riding around. You gotta make moves, you gotta take chances, and I'll be honest with you, I've had opportunities to take chances, and I'm like, I'm just gonna let's do a layup, let's kind of lay back here and see what happens, and it's screwed me over a couple times. So from my point of view, I can 100% say my aggressiveness is probably going to ramp up a little bit. I'm probably going to be more pushing it a little bit harder going forward. But you're still going to see the respect for me. I mean, everybody gets into everybody. Everyone hits a bumper. Everyone gets a door. everyone smacks the wall, comes off the wall, and hits somebody. That happens. That's racing. I'm not saying I'm going to go out there and start running through people because that's just not how I race. But I think from the standpoint of, man, it's go time. We got what 10 points races left before the playoff starts. So and you know the shitty part of it is I got to battle my teammate for that last transfer spot there, but we'll see how that goes going forward. But you know, yeah, it is what it is. We'll do what we can do going forward with A squared and everything.
And then you take drivers into my perspective. I've been fortunate enough to win a race.
Right.
So Darlington, the first stage, I was probably obviously a little over aggressive. I lost my tires and I failed back. But I knew my tires were failing and I let people go. Like going into 3 and 4, like you can obviously see when somebody's quicker than you, on a 2 lap. Like I mean you can see when somebody's quicker than you.
All right.
So me being as a smart driver, I'm gonna let them go. Like I've already won a race, so be it. And I think you honestly seen that from Reynolds. He was trying to save tires. Obviously, I was in the chat with him, and he was falling off. I mean, he was trying to save tires, and with that being my teammate, I think that was one of his best races as far as being aware, letting people go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he wasn't trying to push nobody. He was like, hey, yeah, I've already obviously won more than one race. So why the hell would I be trying to run somebody hard for, P5, P6, whatever it may be? If I catch them on the long run, that's fine. And that's kind of where I was at, but I listened to y'all's podcast, and obviously I was a lot more aggressive on the front run of the first stage because we all know how these next gen cars run. You've either got to get it right then and there, or you've got to save a shit ton and get it in the long run. And I made a mistake. I mean, I truly did, but I thought personally I raced everybody with respect. Fame, I thought you did. I mean, obviously you got. I mean, just. I mean, we was all three of us. We were back there in that whole gaggle, like people just running it way too fucking deep, way over their head, almost running like Ross Chastain, and just not obviously not giving a shit. But I mean, obviously, you guys have. I mean, like you said, the last podcast, we've beat Darlington with a dead stick here, and I kind of want to switch gears. Obviously, we run a lot of different series when it comes to arcs. I I kind of want I kind of want to get y'all's feelings on TNT. How competitive do you guys feel when it comes to the Thursday Night Thunder? You know, do you feel good on the long run? Because I mean, we go green. We're all in the same chat. The entire drivers. There's nothing but respect. I mean, it doesn't matter who the driver is. It's like, hey, I'm fucking pushing, go low, or hey, we're checking up in 1 and 2. Please check up, and everybody checks up. So I mean, Ryan, I'll start with you. Ryan, I want to start with you. As far as the TNT, goes, how do you feel when it comes to Thursday Night Thunder?
Well, I mean, obviously changing cars is going to be a big difference. Going from the ARCA car to the Gen 4, you're talking almost 3 300 horsepower more. So it's going to be a whole different ball game, I think. Me personally, I know that TNT usually has long green flag runs, so I usually try and set my car up to go for those long, green flag runs, and um, sometimes you make that work, sometimes you don't. It just depends. I mean, we've had some races where we've definitely had a bunch of cautions, but for the most part, it's usually green flag through the whole race, and then you have to worry about green flag pit stops, and that's something that really a lot of people, me included, I don't practice green flag pit stops enough, as much as I should, because you never know. I mean, I go into a race thinking, shit, I don't even got to practice that shit. We ain't never going. And then you get a green flag stop, and you're like, damn, I don't know how to get on pit road, without speeding or without spinning out or wrecking. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, what, and again, all of us put in, a lot of practice, some more than others. Some have been doing this shit for 20 years, since the internet existed. I haven't. I started, pretty much when the pandemic and in 2020 started. That's when I started sim racing, and I met a couple people, and we started this shit, and it turned into what it is. But hell, there's been some people that have been doing this shit since NASCAR '09, when the first ever online lobbies were starting, and I've mentioned it on other podcasts, with the Inside Arcs podcast, where that's why these kids are so damn fast. I mean, Aiden and Noah, and um, I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but Tommy Reynolds, I mean, he's a young kid too still. He's definitely matured a lot over the past year and a half, and
Last
I've,
3 months.
yeah,
Last
I've,
3 months. Last
yeah,
3 months. Yeah.
I've been very,
Definitely, definitely quick on the road courses, no
yeah,
doubt.
Yeah.
I've been very, very proud of him for doing that. I mean, I know that he used to be, you know, definitely a little more immature. But that's why these kids are so damn fast, man. I mean, like I said, I told, it was in an Inside Arcs podcast probably, 3 or 4 months ago. I told Kent, I was like, hell, when I grew up, the only way I could race somebody else is if Cody came down to my house, or if I went up to Cody's house
Yep.
and we raced each
Mm-hmm.
other head to head. There was no online racing when we were kids. I mean, we didn't have that shit. I mean, and we didn't
No
have
multiplayer.
yeah, we didn't have wheels. We didn't have, I mean, you had a controller. If there was a wheel, it was, $1,000, and you're an 8-year-old kid, and your parents aren't gonna buy you that shit.
Hell
So
no.
it's, it's just a different environment. Us growing up, again, we could race the AI. We could do career mode, and we'd have fun. But you're not racing people that are super competitive. Now these kids, they're growing up at 8, 9 years old, and they're already competing against some of the best. I mean, I joined dirt. You see my background. I'm a huge dirt guy. I love dirt. It's probably it's the car that I am the fastest in by far. But man, I get in some hosted lobbies, and these dudes come over to race comms, and they sound like they're 8 years old, because they are 8 years old. I
Yep.
mean, and they're building, they're getting faster. So it's just a different world. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
the
Yeah.
sad thing is, some of those 8-year-olds in dirt, you take let's just say the super late model, an example. You're running some of them 8-year-olds, and hell, they race cleaner than some of the people we have in A squared. Like,
That's what I was
they
getting ready to say. Yep.
they understand. Like, okay,
Yep.
I'm not going to push this because obvious reasons. And
Mhm.
I mean, it's just, dude, these young kids, they understand it. Tommy Reynolds, of course, Aiden, he's young.
Aiden's
I
a freak.
mean,
Can we just put that out there right now?
I
Aiden
mean,
is a
A-
freak of nature.
Aiden said
even
The four wheels.
whenever,
Aiden said in the chat
even
that he, to be fair, he didn't get his first console that was online capable until like 2017.
I call bullshit because
Bullshit.
this kid is quick as lightning.
Here we go,
Hey,
Aiden. They
look,
call bullshit.
Aiden, I love you, brother. I'm just gonna say this right now. I love you. Part of my team. You know, he causes a lot of controversy in the general chat. Let's just say that.
Yep.
But besides that, I think a lot of people react because of how fucking fast he is.
Oh, it's jealousy. I think a lot of it is jealousy. Like, fuck this dude.
Look,
This dude's beating everybody by 2 seconds. Like,
I'm he is part of my team. Like, you cannot deny how fast this kid is.
Nope.
And
No.
the same way with Tommy Reynolds. It don't matter if it's oval, road. Hell, you could fucking run a horseshoe. I mean, they're both going to be fast, and everybody can say what they want to. You know, Aiden is aggressive. Obviously, Tommy Reynolds wrecked the one and only Ryan Pennell. What was that? Was that Martinsville? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Martinsville. He got an earful from me after Martinsville. Yep. I think that's actually what made him mature a little bit. I ain't even gonna lie.
But the thing is you know these guys they can take an earful. I mean, Ryan obviously, if Ryan wrecks me, I'm going to give him an earful. Vice versa. At the end of it, we're done. Like
Yep.
that's it. It's not going to carry on to the next race. It's not going to carry on to 10 races down the series.
Yeah.
And you know, me personally, I think that's what A squared is lacking. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the guys that's been in here, obviously I have not been in here a lot. You know, TNT I won, I think it was 4 races, blah blah blah. Whatever it may be, set the record, whatever. Okay, but you come into the next year and I haven't won a single fucking race, like the the shit's progressing.
Yep.
Like here's Toby last year, and then here's me, you know, this year. Like, you know, you got Aiden. I mean, this is what this league needs. Is just, you know, Cody Pennell before I joined was fucking, you know, dominating. Okay, and then me and Cody Pennell kind of. Cody's obviously better than me, but and then you get Aiden. Like, I mean, this is what the series needs. It's like you don't want one guy running the lead every fucking race. And Aiden's been, you know, top of the series TNT this year, but you take next year, I guarantee you somebody's going to come out of the woodworks and start beating Aiden, and then Aiden's going to be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
and that's exactly where we was last year. I mean, come on.
I mean, Cody was probably one of the best in the Gen 6 cars.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously me and him, you know, being related, you know, I love racing with Cody, but man, when we run, you know, that first year that we kind of got on iRacing and did a little, you know, Gen 6 series on Monday nights, and Cody was unstoppable. I mean, but at the same time, that, you know, obviously there was still that competition there, but Cody just knew that car. He was so good in that car, and everybody else was struggling, you know, to figure that car out, how to get that grip, you know, those rear tires on exit, and Cody just had it figured out. I mean, he was very, very, very dominant when we ran. But now with a new car, new drivers, you know, new teams, it's completely different. I mean, you know, Cody is still very fast. Obviously, he set on pole for Darlington. I knew that motherfucker was going to be fast at Darlington. That's one of his tracks. He finished second. He had a great race, but he struggled. I mean, he got he had the car was fucked up. He was back there with me. I passed him in stage 2. I was like, oh, something's
That was my
wrong with
fault.
this 50. Something's wrong with this 50 car because he ain't.
Dude, he never gave up that entire
No,
race.
and that's what I
No.
mean, and that's me. That's that's a Pinnell thing there. We don't give
I
up,
and I want to and I definitely want to say this during Darlington. If you want to talk about respect, he spun out, but half the field, whenever he caught them, they let him go. And you want me to tell you why? Because that's respect.
Yep.
Cody races everybody clean. He's not going to give anybody the bumper. He might towards the the end of the race.
Yeah.
And so be it. That's the end of the race.
You gotta do that.
But Cody races clean. It don't matter if he is in first, second, or in the end of the line, buddy. I'm telling you, that guy runs clean. And if he catches me on the long run, medium run, whatever it may be, I'm coming over to race comms and saying, hey, go inside.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever the track may be. And that is my point, that whenever it comes to the end of the, whenever people are racing for points, that's whenever it's going to come in clutch.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's no different than, like I said, I brought up me and Patrick Overstat. I fully hope and pray that if, down the road, the next season of the late model stock car, if those roles are reversed, I'm hoping Patrick in the back of his mind is saying, hey, I remember when Ryan was behind me and was faster than me and didn't move me, didn't, knock me out of the way. I'm hoping that sticks in his mind. In A squared, obviously, nobody gives a shit about me. They don't give a fuck what I mean, they don't care. But in the other series, it does seem to be that, the way you race other people are, it kind of carries over. But for A squared, I hadn't quite figured that whole respect thing out yet. But
do you think that's the team dynamic?
it could be.
Take like other series, like short track series only, or some of those where it seems to be everyone's showing respect. We're all in the same Discord chat, but you spread everybody out into a team. They got their own things going on. They're privately talking. They care about themselves and a team aspect, to where when we're all in Discord together, it seems like everyone's communicating with each other. Hey, like Toby was saying with TNT. Hey Toby, I'm pushing. Watch out, I'm coming up. We give each other notice, to where it is respect, but you may not see that in the team aspect because they're not coming over to race comms saying, hey, I'm pushing, watch out. They just push, and you got to see it yourself. But I don't know.
And the only argument I have with that is, like, if I'm on, let's just say, if I'm on the inside of, or the outside of Ryan, right, and I'm a and a lot of us guys in A squared are, a handful of us, we're not just looking out the front mirror. We're obviously looking in the rear view, even if it's in the middle of the corner. You see that guy pushing? Okay, I'm gonna drift up just a little bit to give this guy room.
Yep.
And I think that is what A squared is kind of lacking. It's the respect part. I mean, there's a handful of drivers you can. I mean, me personally, if there's somebody in front of me as I throw up an X, and they have raced just fucking garbage the whole entire time, I'm gonna lift coming into entry, and then get that run off.
That drive off. Yep. Coming out.
And you can't necessarily do that in Darlington unless you're on the front stretch, but majority of the tracks you can.
Yep.
And even on the front stretch, excluding Darlington, you can kind of drift up, give them a bump and say, hey, I don't fucking like how you race me off coming off a 4.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of drivers that lack the respect. And honestly, if a lot of the team owners, excluding myself, take that into consideration, and a lot of this shit is going to disappear. Okay, who cares if your driver runs so fucking good in the first and second stage, but he ran the entire field like a piece of shit, and
Yeah.
you don't get the end of the race result, then you probably want to change. You probably want to, look into changing drivers and me personally, I'm in a predicament. Riggs isn't showing up a whole lot, so I'm personally, I'm going to talk to him and say, hey, would you rather be a part time driver? Briley, he pushes it. I mean, myself, I push it as well, but I think me and Briley is pretty close, to respect through the entire field as anybody else is. Um, I don't want to call myself out here, but I think I'm pretty quick, no matter what the track, whether it's
Yep.
road course, short track, medium, Talladega, whatever the case might be. I'm taking my run, and if I get thrown into a predicament where I have to lift, I'm fucking lifting.
Yep.
Like, Theme, I think you're the same way. You're gonna lift. There's no need of wrecking yourself
Nope.
and half the field, just to gain like one position or
It's
two.
not worth
Like
it. Yeah.
it's not worth it.
No.
And that comes into Nashville next week. And that's one thing I had on my list. Like, when it comes to Nashville, you can have a short run car. That's fine. You can have a medium run car, whatever it may be. But I'm telling you, Nashville is going to come to a medium to long run
Long run
car.
card.
That's just my opinion. Fame, I'll let you comment on that. Like,
Yep.
when you go to Nashville, it's short run, whatever it may be. But I think the medium to long run car when you go to Nashville is going to be key.
I don't think a short run car actually. I mean, yeah, you might get out in front for that, but short run car is not going to do you shit at Nashville. It's not, especially with how. I mean,
You're just going to push.
it's going to push. It is that you those corners are slow corners. If you drive as fast as you want into turn 1 and turn 3, that's fine. You ain't gonna have shit after 15, 16 laps. You're just not. Um, it's not as fast as what everyone thinks it is. I mean, the corners aren't super fast there. You will push the shit out of your car in those turns. So yeah, I do believe it's a medium to long run car, and that's what you want for Nashville, for the most part. Um, I mean, Ryan, you've ran it more than I have here lately. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think you were talking about how you had a good short run car, but you had it there sitting. You had a restart, right, on one of your wins, like a
Yeah.
green white checker kind of thing. But how do you feel like the short run, long run there at Nashville?
Honestly, I have learned pretty quick that I was I was able to change whether I had a short run or long run car
Yep.
based off how I drove it. The first race I ran the piss out of it, and I was driving way too hard. I come off 4, I got loose, and when I came off of 4 and got loose, I tried to save it, and when I tried to save it, it went back up into the track, and I wrecked a couple other people, and they were really pissed off at me. But then that second race, I was like, okay, well, I know what I fucked up that first race. So that second race, I was like, well, let me kind of just cruise here. So I backed off, and everybody started coming back to me. as the run went on, and I was able to go back and I was able to finish 5th. That third race, I found the perfect in between. I mean, I if I had a caution, which we did, we ended up having a caution with like 3 or 4 to go, and I was in first. I knew I was gonna push that thing as hard as I could fucking push that car. That's exactly what I did, and I ended up winning by like 8 tenths of a second. That fourth race, same thing. We had we had a long green flag run, then we had a caution with like 10 to go. I knew I had 10 laps, so I pushed it because I knew my tires, when I push it 100%, my tires would be still just fine after 15 laps. So, yeah, I've really learned a lot. That's something that I really struggled with last week because obviously Darlington was not the official race. It was Sonoma, so I wasn't able to practice. I could practice by myself. I could practice with AI, but I'm sorry, AI is just not the
That's
same
same.
as running with
Yep.
real people. So this week, being able to run with real people, being able to run 4 races. I mean, shit, I ran the race I ran last night started at 12:30, didn't end till like 1:45 in the morning. I mean, and people, come, to me and say, well, why the hell do you fucking get so pissed off with this shit? That's exactly why. I am practicing. I'm running races at 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to get better, trying to find speed, trying to watch other people, see what they do, adjust my setup the best I can for my driving style. I mean, I had Fetter Place was helping me the first race, giving me tips. I mean, I, I don't I appreciate that shit. I mean
Yeah.
that Brandon Fetter Place, who is a competitor to me, Seth did it to in at Darlington. Seth was giving me tips. On one night I was practicing, trying to get faster. He was telling me, hey, do this in 3 and 4. Fetter Place was doing the same thing. I never will be like, hey, yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna drive it how,
Never.
dude. I'm
Yep.
gonna I'm gonna listen to everyone that gives me advice because you never know that one little thing that you may be doing wrong could change you from finishing 10th to finishing 4th. So I am always all ears. I put a lot of work in, and I'm gonna continue throughout the week. I mean, A Open is at Nashville for pretty much the rest of the week. I'll probably run the 12:30 race tonight, just because I am doing everything I can.
Me too, buddy.
Yeah, I mean I'm doing everything I can, and luckily the 12:30 race, usually there's not a whole lot of people that join that thing, so it's usually only like 1 or 2 splits. So if you join like last night I joined with Quiet and Jonathan Adams, and you know
Feel sorry for you.
well, at least I beat Quiet. I won. So, but yeah, I mean, those late night races, if you join with a buddy, um, you're more than likely going to be in the same split, and then you can kind of bounce ideas off each other. I mean, that's what I've really found that has helped me, especially with the tracks that I'm better at. Obviously, road courses, there's no help for me. I'm just not gonna be competitive at road courses. But you put me at a mile and a half or a restrictor plate, I got a shot. I mean, it's I short tracks and road courses are definitely my Achilles heel. I've really struggled with those. Obviously, the dirt race, I finished third. I mean, I love dirt, so I was very competitive at Bristol Dirt, but short tracks, road courses, I struggle. But when you put Nashville or Michigan or you know
Oh yeah, Michigan.
Charlotte, those tracks, I'm gonna put in extra work to try and be competitive, and that's exactly what I'm doing this week. I'm putting in so much practice that I mean it's almost laughable at how much practice and how many. I mean even between A Open races, when I have like an hour left, I'm putting up a test session, turning laps by myself. I mean I'm putting in so much work this week that it's like I said, it's kind of laughable. I mean, I'm sure Kenzie's not happy with it either because I feels like I'm racing 100% of the time, and I do appreciate her sticking with me because I really am. I do feel like I will be competitive at Nashville, and honestly, I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to get, fourth, fifth in stage one, fourth, fifth, sixth in stage two. I'm trying to get points. I am scrapping, just trying to make the playoffs. I mean, I'm safe right now. I passed Jacket, which unfortunately Jacket was pulled away from racing for a little bit, so I was able to pass him. I passed Mulkey. I passed Emma Kruger. David Wright's right there in front of me. So yeah, I'm putting in a lot of work that some people don't know that I'm doing. So, and again, then I'll get pissed off Sunday because I'll be running in 15th. But
If you're putting in that much practice, I don't.
yeah, I
Yeah,
tell you,
well,
I've
you
put
never know
in.
what can happen though. That's the thing of it is we can put
You
as
never
much practice as
know.
you want. You never know what's going to happen in front of you or
Well,
behind you, for that
I
matter.
I do I do know one thing that the setup that we have for Sunday is obviously everybody knows we buy our setups from Ryko Performance, and they
And a huge shout out to you, Ron. I mean,
yeah
The
it's a
setup's been
huge
must have been awesome, man.
it's a huge change since last year.
yeah
So shout out to you and everything you do with putting these setups in place. So
yeah
I mean,
they make the racing really good, but yeah, the one we got for Nashville, they when I buy it, they kind of they give you an idea of like, hey, here's what a qualifying run is. Here's what a race race setup is. What you're gonna expect to run with the race setup. Well, the race setup was supposed to run like a 29.8 to a 30 flat. Um, in both the races that I won, my fastest lap was a 29.615. So
oh
um,
God.
yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I know obviously other people are gonna catch on. They're gonna practice and they're gonna be able to run fast laps. But it's probably the first time all year, other than the restrictor plate races, where I honestly feel really good about being competitive and being in the top five. And hopefully we'll see that happen Sunday night.
Well, the only last topic I have is, we've covered, I mean, pretty much everything. I mean, uh, the only last thing I want to cover is, with all the series we have going on here, and all the hour racing updates we've had. Me personally, I'm just gonna throw this out there. The biggest change I have felt personally is in dirt. So I just real quickly want to touch and Fame, I want to start with you. We run a lot of dirt. I mean, I just want to, you know, real quickly touch on how you feel when it comes to if you have ran it, which I'm pretty sure you have,
Yep.
which is the super late, which Ryan has posted. We're gonna probably run something in September, and obviously Ryan is pretty quick when it comes to dirt, so that throws a whole different aspect. You can throw A squared out the window
Yep.
when it
Completely.
comes to dirt because you actually have to, you know, not only run quick when it comes to the super late models, but you have to save tires. So I mean, I know how I feel, but how do you feel when it comes to the super late models with the new update? How do you feel personally when it comes to those cars?
Honestly, like, cause we ran that session. Well, hell, what was that? Was that last week, Ryan? We
Yeah, I
threw
think
that. You
so.
threw that up.
Yeah.
So like honestly, like the tire wear, it does affect it. It does, but like man, like the new like the model, like how I love it. I've never really. This is crazy. I'm from Indiana, and I'm not that huge into dirt racing on iRacing. I love going to the dirt track though. I used to go all the time to the Anderson, the Gas City, Montpelier, those Kokomo's, all those tracks around here. But I've never really got into it on racing because I was just slow as fucking shit, right? But I get into that super late model, um, lobby that Ryan put up there. And I was slow at the beginning, but then next thing I know, as the track, started coming in, I was getting faster than what so like it kind of it's going to be, it may actually be better for guys that, haven't been that fast on dirt, that haven't been running dirt that much on iRacing compared to the guys that have been, because they've been running it the same exact way for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, you know what I mean? And now you have
kind of throws Austin Purnell into the mix. Like,
yep.
Like there's a whole new aspect of drivers that kind of throw themselves into the mix. I mean, especially drivers that run these cars in real life.
Yep.
Whatever the aspect may be. They may not be running, the super late models, but they understand the tire wear and all that shit that goes into it. I mean, it just brings the field closer together, I guess you could say.
I will say those cars are made of paper. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They are made of paper. You don't even, like, just barely kiss the wall. Your right front is fucking baroque. I mean, it's unfucking drivable. You can try driving on it. You're going to push straight into the freaking wall in the next turn. But I will say that they are paper.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's how they are in real life.
But
they may be.
I was gonna say a lot of people are pissed off about it, but I mean, you take a super late model and you run that sumbitch in the wall like you do in iRacing,
it's gonna break.
The right front's
I mean, I'm happy the way the dirt cars are running right now. Like I'm happy. Like not only do you drive them by throttle, but I mean it's in the wheel too. It don't matter what you're running. I mean it's the whole aspect. Like when it comes to the dirt races that we run in A squared, whatever it may be, but I expect this to bring everybody just a little bit closer, other than Ryan, because it seems like he's on AIDS.
Yeah, I mean the update has really helped. I mean, obviously my best car is the 410 Sprint. I mean, that's one that I've been very, very, very good at since I started racing iRacing. I don't know why. The update changed it a lot. I will say that. It definitely made me change how I drove that car. But the super late models, I mean, beforehand, man, they really, honestly, they weren't. I mean, they were fun, but they weren't that much fun.
It was just kind of full throttle.
Yeah, and it was like they almost had too much power, and it just didn't really make sense. So that's why everybody ran.
I spun that motherfucker out, I don't know, 3 or 4 times just trying to get out of the goddamn pits.
Yeah,
I mean, for this update.
The entire entry, like when you enter a corner, is entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going full throttle because you're going to fuck up everything.
Yep.
It's all. I mean, that's in Ryan's wheelhouse. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, he's really good. He's really good in the 410s. I've raced him in the super late models. He's really good on the throttle and really solid on the wheel. Not only on the short run, but the long run. It's like, all right, motherfucker. Are you racing controller or what?
Yeah, I'm cheating. Yeah, no.
God damn, you give no all that shit, motherfucker.
I know, man. And I can't explain it. I mean, it's the same way like when I race road courses, and I watch Aiden, I watch Noah, I watch Tommy Reynolds. I can't do the shit. I mean, I could practice 1,000 hours during the week, and I cannot. I can't get it. And it's the same way with dirt. I mean, dirt just works for me. I mean, it just makes sense. And some people will come into the sessions we race, and they're like, Ryan, how the hell are you doing this shit? And I don't even know what to tell them sometimes. Like I'm like, I don't know. It just, and it's the same way when I ask them, like, I'll talk to Aiden, I'll talk to Noah, I'll talk to Reynolds, like, what the fuck are you doing? How are you so fast? And they're like, I don't know, just fucking floor it. And I'm like, what? That's not, it ain't working. It ain't working for me.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. But it's the same way with dirt. I mean, you have those people that, I mean, obviously you have your, unicorns like Josh Gaiman, who is just fast in everything. I mean, that
Everywhere.
motherfucker
Yeah.
he's fast.
He,
He's fast in dirt. I mean,
either he's winning or he's wrecking. There's no in between.
There is no in between. But yeah, dirt just comes natural to me, and I've always loved it. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't like dirt. So when we do run, our dirt lobbies, it's, we don't I mean, we have a good field. We have, 8 to 12 people come out, but and I've told people this before, if you don't feel comfortable, come and race with us anyway. We'll try and teach you. I'll give you any tips that I can on how to run it. And, I don't like running road courses, but I do it anyway. I mean, it's going to make you a better driver overall. And
Yep.
It's fun. I mean, it is absolutely fun. And we'll be starting back in September with our super late models on dirt. We'll be going to pretty much every racetrack that iRacing offers as far as dirt cars. So it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and we'll all be in the same class this year, so there won't be different classes like we did before. And I think that'll probably bring a few more people to come in because we'll all be in the same car, be competitive. You won't have to worry about passing somebody every 2 laps. It may be every 12 to 15 laps depending, on speed. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And, obviously it's completely different than, so if you've run them before and you're like, oh, I hated them. Well, try it one more time. I promise you'll probably like it, and you may want to give it a shot. So we're going to have a lot of fun. It'll be, we'll all be in the same voice chat like we have before, and it'll be a little more serious, but we'll still have fun. I mean, that's what Mondays and Tuesdays are all about. It's just, having fun, not worrying too much about the Thursday night thunders, the ignition, the SNS, the A squared, where it's just like, this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell y'all right now, when I loaded into Sonoma, I felt sick to my stomach. Like I didn't even want to do it. I really didn't. But
Hell, my shifter come unconnected.
yeah.
Dude, you scared the shit out of me. I haven't even talked to you about that, dude. That scared the shit out of me. I was right behind you when that happened.
It was awful.
I got into you. I'm like, what the fuck just happened, Toby?
I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to downshift, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? It's like almost having your dick in your left hand and trying to steer with your right.
Yeah.
It was just fucking awful.
Yes, that's never good. Never good at all.
Hey, and we've covered a lot tonight. I mean, we've covered A squared, we've covered dirt. I mean, we've covered everything tonight, especially Darlington. I mean, I think I don't even want to think about Darlington.
Yeah, fuck Darlington.
not anymore.
It was awesome to go to in person, but yeah, racing.
Oh yeah. My last topic would be, just real quick, you don't have to explain and fame. I'm gonna start off with you. Out of everything we race, whatever whatever it may be, whether it be A squared, TNT, dirt. I mean, we've got all kinds of series here in A squared. what is your most favorite thing to run in everything? I mean, just tell me why. Obviously, tell me what the series is, and then tell me why. I mean,
You know,
whatever the case may be.
you know, I love competitiveness, like being competitive. So if I had to go on like a competitive side, it would be A squared, 100%, right? But if you got to choose
It's
that
hard.
one, yeah, if you got to choose that one series that you go in, you have a good time, everyone's kicking it, everyone's in there together. I think I've had the most fun with like a TNT on like Thursday, or like the only short track series when I jumped in there, because we're all together. You know what I mean? We're all together. We're all kicking it. We're all, that's
We're
like the
all
most.
just there.
We're all just there. When it comes to a competitiveness, but which is a completely different kind of fun. It is fun to be competitive. That's A squared. No, it's bar none. It's the hardest, which I'm fucked up in the head, but I like competition. I do. I don't want shit to be easy. I don't want it to be handed to me. I want to earn it. That's fun. But if when it comes down to just pure, dude, let's just jump on. Let's have some fun. Dude, TNT is where it at. Or when we do things like say what we did after the OAP race on Saturday. Just those bullshit lobbies that have no series attached to them.
Yeah.
We just jump in them,
Just kind of hanging out.
hanging out, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's what this is
I
all about, though. I mean, I mean, Ryan, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what you tried building. That's what you were building here, right? A community that just gets
yeah.
together, hangs out, and has a blast racing fake fucking cars on a computer that we spent way too much fucking money on, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And raising hell and praising Dale. Come on back.
come on
Absolutely.
back now.
Praise God. Look, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's I mean, yeah, I can't tell you how many times I have been on Discord, at 10, 11, 12 o'clock, you know, Eastern time, and there's still 6, 7 people in there just having fun. Man, that's what makes me feel good. I mean, the fact that we built this community as a group, started it from the ground up really, um, back in 2020, and here we are now. I mean, yeah, we see people come and go, um, but we have that core group of, I would say, probably 40, 50 racers that are just around almost every night or every week. That is what is really special to me. Um, it could be 4 p.m. or it could be 12 a.m. You'll see, at least 2 or 3 people in the Discord just hanging out, having fun, whether they're racing or whether they're playing, hell, we play GTA, or we might be doing Flight Simulator. I mean, there's just so much going on that is more fun to me, than anything. And of course, I love, when we all get on, 11 o'clock at night, we're all, we've been drinking, we're gonna, hey, let's crash a hosted lobby, let's go in there, and we all get in there, and we one of us wins that thing, and man, that's cool. That's something special to me. But yeah, I mean, me personally, I love dirt. It's laid back, but it's still competitive. It has that TNT feel where everybody's in the chat together, so you can't do anything too stupid, because that person's gonna be right there on your ass in the chat. It's and I agree with Theme as far as competitive goes. Obviously, Ignition, I broadcast that, so I don't really get a whole lot of feel on the competition, except for last Saturday when I raced and broadcasted, and came
I
home.
did pretty good.
I came home second. I mean, I can't complain about that. But SNS is the same way. It just feels a little more like, they have more drivers, they have some more new people, so you don't necessarily know everyone there, but then you kind of break off into your team chats, and it's kind of, I would feel like S&S is kind of an in between TNT and A squared, because you have that competitiveness, but then you break into your team chats. And then A squared, like I said, I mean, I most of the times when I race A squared, I am sick to my stomach because I'm so nervous, just because I know how important it is to have a good finish, and especially if I have any kind of speed at a track, my heart's pounding, not only through practice but qualifying. I'm trying to get a good spot for the heat races, and then the heat races you're trying to get points, in the heat races, and then obviously the feature, with the stages. That's a different competition. It really is, but that's what's kind of cool about ARCS. We have a little bit of everything, Monday and Tuesdays, it's, hey, let's all hang out, let's have fun, let's be competitive, let's not be, Monday and Tuesdays, probably the most respect out of any series that we have, because
I agree.
the people that show up know each other. They've been racing each other for 10, 12 weeks in the same car, similar tracks. It's very, very, very respectful racing, other than a couple issues we've had in only short track series. But Tuesday's the same way. Everybody races each other with complete respect. TNT has a lot of respect as well. We'll have to see how the next season goes. We got a few new people coming in, so obviously that's an adjustment. But then Sunday, that respect is kind of given and taken, just because of the competition. That it's so tough that you kind of have to sometimes just say, hey, I gotta just fucking send it, and hopefully this guy doesn't wreck. Hopefully this guy doesn't, cuss me out after the race. But if he does, he does. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Coming from you, Ryan, obviously, I mean, at the end of the day, you run everything when it comes to all this. It really doesn't matter what series you're in, and I'll kind of end it on this from my end and kind of head it off the theme. But I mean, it doesn't matter what series you run. There's a lot of respect. It don't matter if it's dirt, asphalt. I mean, it really doesn't matter what you run. I mean, you're gonna get what you give. It really doesn't matter what series you're in, and obviously, we all run an A squared, and I'm gonna give what I give. Theme, obviously, if somebody runs you hard, you're gonna give what you get, and obviously, through Ryan's comments through the last podcast, I mean, he's tired of getting used up. And I'm sure, a lot of drivers are. So, I mean, the only thing I expect, through the rest of the series is, if you're trying to, not only make the playoffs, but whatever it may be, just race with your head. I mean, if you race Ryan like a jackass, I mean, he's going to race you the same way, and the same way with you. I mean, that's just the way I end on it, and I'll hand it off to you. You can race however you want to, but at the end of the day, if you race somebody dirty through the first stint of the series, the middle stint of the series, I mean, you're just gonna get what you've been given the entire year. So I'll kind of hand it off to you and let you close it out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said there. But yeah, let's go ahead and close it out here. We've been going for a while here. I didn't think we could bullshit this long tonight, but we did.
I think it was a good. I think it was a good podcast.
Yeah, yeah. There's some people down there. Hey, they want the unfiltered side of it. Hey, this is the cool down. All right. So we'll have the aftermath. You know, podcast, right? This is gonna be the cool down. The cool down. I can't lose my shit. You know,
No,
3
boys,
times a week. All right.
Call him out.
Wait till
Call him
after.
out right now.
Wait till
Call him
after.
out.
Wait till after Sunday at Nashville if somebody wrecks me. Y'all tune in Sunday night.
Yeah.
I'll be there to turn you, Ryan.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Eat a dick. And when I get to you, eat a dick.
Ah, fucking Christ. But hey, thank you guys for coming on tonight. We wasn't even planning this, honestly. It wasn't even planned. Toby texted me, he's like, we have to do a podcast tonight. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then it went from, okay, let's just make it a podcast format. You're like, well, shit, we got our cameras up. Let's go live. So for everybody that tuned in, thank you for tuning into that. Also, there'll be a podcast format on it. I know if you watch the whole thing, that's fine. But if you could like and share that podcast as much as you can, it only gives us more exposure, brings more people in to watch. Also, we are going to, I'm going to announce a sponsor. It's a non-funded sponsor. I'm just doing this because it's somebody that we have in ARCs. So Thomas Andrews, he runs the Drip Die Casting Collections. So Drip Die Casting Collections is going to be we're kind of going to promote that. So we'll have some ad reads for that. So that's coming up soon. That's a big announcement I wanted to announce today. We'll have that in there, and then I'll also be throwing in my KJF design as a sponsor as well. So we'll start seeing some of that kind of stuff coming to the podcast as well, with some ad reads and stuff like that. But for myself, I can probably speak for Ryan. I can probably speak for Toby. Thank you for everyone who has listened, watching live. If not, you're listening in the podcast format right now. Probably, what would it be, Wednesday? Probably listening to it on Wednesday while you're at work. You should be working. Get back to fucking work. But I just want to thank all y'all for listening. You guys have anything to say before we cut this short and get out of here?
I'm good,
I'm
man.
good.
Hell of a podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning in. This was our first live one, so that was kind of cool. We'll try and
Yep.
keep that going moving forward. And thank y'all for tuning in, and make sure you listen. And we'll probably have another one here soon.